the CZ75 SP01, and this is the tactical version. Now, the CZ75 is one of the original Wonder 9s. And you say, what in the world's a Wonder 9? Well, back in the day, back in the 80s, revolvers were still the predominant carry for most law enforcement and serious shooters. So the CZ came out and became a very reliable, very accurate, staggered magazine semi-automatic. It began the revolution. Now, these were made in the Czech Republic, and they weren't really available for import into the United States. There were very few for a number of years coming into the U.S. So when they did start to come in, people realized what an incredible pistol. This is one of the most used service pistols in the world. In fact, Jeff Cooper called it the best service pistol in the world. Now, that's been a number of years ago. But one of the things that's a big testimony to this pistol is that it is highly sought after with competitive shooters for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's just really highly reliable. It's very accurate. And one of the biggest things is that it has a very low muzzle flip. And the reason for that is we're going to look at in just a few minutes. And this does make this one of the best semi-automatic pistols in the world. A couple of years ago, I did a video on the CZ75. It is my most viewed video, which shocked me, and still today. The CZ75 legend is alive and well, and I'm going to tell you, this is their newer designs. Now, this has been out for a few years, but this goes to more of their newer designs. It meets NATO specs that were upgraded. Has a lot to do with covering this area in the frame. Other than that, a lot of this is just the basic CZ75. This is just really tricked out. And we're going to look at all the different features. I will be doing an updated review on the CZ75 because that video is awful. But first we're going to go ahead and safety check the weapon. As you can see, it is unloaded. Now, this is the SP01 family of CZs. They do make it in just the standard version, which does not have the night sights, and it has a standard manual safety. The SP01 Tactical has night sights and a decocker. And then you have the SP01 Phantom. Now, Nothing Fancy did a review on the SP01 Phantom, which is the polymer framed version of this pistol. This is an all steel pistol, and it is full size and it is full weight. In fact, when you load the 18 rounds plus one magazine into this pistol, it weighs just about 3 pounds. But now you take the polymer frame Phantom and you get it down to the weight of a Glock 17. Now, it does have a beautiful polycoat finish. This is very wear resistant. It's a satin finish. They do make the CZs in a nickel, hard nickel, and they do them in two-tone. Those are beautiful guns. They also make the CZ in a stainless, but not the SP01. The magazine is pretty long in the gun itself. It does hold 18 plus 1 in the chamber. It does have this butt plate that sticks out, but it is a very reliable, fully functional, and baby, you have 18 rounds, you're doing really well. These were loosely based on the Browning High Power. In fact, the CZ75 basic B model looks a lot like the Browning High Power, except that it's double action instead of single action. Now, this is a double action, single action pistol. And what I mean by that is, if you pull this trigger, it actuates the hammer on the first shot. Subsequent shots, the hammer will be in the rear position. That actually is a little better for accuracy. And then you can decock and bring it into a half-cock position. And this really, for the trigger, it gives it a little more than double action. You're going to have a little less travel than your double action. Now, we're going to look a little bit at the trigger itself. And as you see, the double action pull, it goes back, and then it breaks. It has a decent, clean break to it. For rapid fire, it's not bad at all. In single action mode, has a little bit of a take up, and then it fires. Very nice trigger. Then when you put it into half cock, the hammer doesn't go all the way down, of course, it's in half cock, and it really gives you a little extra. It's an in-between trigger pull. So really, if you're going to be carrying this gun with one in the tube and you have it on half cock, really, it's going to be a very nice double action trigger pull. Now, the barrel's a little longer than standard. It's 4.72, just a little under 4 3/4 inches long. It is a cold hammer forged barrel, so it's very high quality. Now, a couple of things that are added to make this an upgrade from the basic CZ75B is that it does have an accessory rail here, and this is the standard 1913 Picatinny rail. It'll accept any of your mounts. Also, this has a little bit more of an extended beaver tail than the basic CZ75. So it allows you to get your hand way up on the gun. It allows you to get a really good grip, and it keeps your bore axis very low. I really don't like pistols with large fat slides that ride up high. I like it low in my hand. It's part of the reason why I really like Glock, Beretta, and Browning high powers. But I think that's really what you get used to more than anything else. It does have really nice rubberized grips. They have a checkering on it. They do keep the gun fairly thin, so it feels really good for a medium-sized hand. When I'm shooting double action, I do have to stretch just a little more than I would be comfortable with typically, but not too bad and easy to master. The single action is really comfortable. Now, one of the things that I really noticed up front was the serrations, not only on the back of the slide, but here on the front. And it's one of the ways that I like to cock and charge my weapon, is to bring it right here, and then of course you have your rear serrations as well. Really nice checkering on the back strap, checkering on the front of the grip, nice checkering right here on the front of the trigger guard. One thing I do like about the frame is it scallops up here on both sides, so it allows you to get your finger and your hand close in so you can manipulate all your controls. Magazine release is pretty extended, so you're able to really get a grip on it, but yet you don't inadvertently hit it when you have it in your hand. The magazines drop free very easily. Very smooth entrance, and with that being said, the magazine well has been beveled. So this makes it really easy to slide a magazine into the magazine well. One of the things about the staggered magazine is that it comes up to a taper. So that really allows you, plus with the beveled magazine, you get a really easy transition. Now you'll notice that the trigger guard is plenty of room for a gloved hand, and then also you have a scallop here right at the top of the trigger, which really gives you some extra room. Of course, in single action mode, you have a lot of room here. Now the SP01 Tactical does come with night sights, and these are the True Dot night sights. They are really bright. It also has a lanyard loop right here at the bottom of the mainspring housing. Now the decocker is ambidextrous, either side. Now one of the things that's a disadvantage with a decocker is that it does affect the trigger pull. And if you get one of these that's standard with the safety, you're going to have a better trigger pull just because of the extra mechanisms that go into the decocking. But to be honest with you, I really like decocking only because I can have it ready and I don't have to think about it. One of the problems that I've had with some of my other pistols, namely my Beretta, is having this decocker and then flipping on the safety. And then I'm so used to shooting Glock and some of the striker-fired pistols that when I grab it, I have to manipulate and I have to think about it. And just because that's just my style of shooting. But really, you need to be varied in your style and not get locked into one, and that's a good reason for it. Now this is an all-steel frame, as I mentioned, and the weight on this is pretty hefty. In fact, without the magazine, it weighs 2 pounds 3 ounces. With the magazine loaded, it weighs just under 3 pounds. And you say, man, that's just way too heavy. Of course, the Phantom is the polymer framed version of this. I believe it weighs 28 ounces. So it is a really light, easy to maneuver gun. But one of the reasons why I wanted the all steel frame is I have a lot of different polymer guns. This, with the night sights and the accessory rail, and the weight of the pistol, 18 round magazine, this makes an incredible home defense weapon or a sidearm. These have been used extensively in competition. One of the reasons is because of the weight, and what that does is it keeps the muzzle down from muzzle flip. In fact, this gun won first and third place in the IPSC championships back in 2005. These are the world championships. This gun has really proven itself. In fact, it is highly sought after by gunsmith and custom gun makers. Breakdown is just a little different than your typical semi-automatic pistol. If you'll notice, there are marks here on the frame and there's a mark on the slide. And what you do is you match that up, and then when you get those two lines together, and it actually says to take your magazine and push, and this allows you just to pull it straight out, and then it typically just breaks down as normal. Now, one of the first things that I want to really mention here is that you'll notice that's really different about the CZs And really what makes this gun very accurate, and it really helps reduce felt recoil, is the slide has rails built in that fit into the frame. And that's completely opposite from most of your pistols. It's why this frame comes up as high as it does. It has the internal rails, and so the slide fits in to the rails, and then it keeps this gun very low bore axis. Your subsequent shots, you will notice a huge difference. I took this down last week and shot it, and you know, I've had a lot of experience with CZ, and I knew that it was going to be nice, but really the SP01, and I'm just going to tell you straight up, this is one of the best feeling handguns I have ever shot, and the accuracy is unbelievable. Of course, it's pretty standard with the recoil spring and guide rod. Barrel comes out. It does have the locking lugs, very similar to the Browning design. And again, this was inspired by Browning. You'll see this in your 1911s and your Browning High Power with the cam here. The fit and finish, even in the inside of these guns, is exceptional. It's more the classic design in a world of a lot of polymer pistols. Again, this gun was developed in 1975, the original CZ75. And so this has been around for a while. But so has the Browning High Power, so has the 1911. Go ahead and get it to your marks. Snaps right in. The slide release is very positive. It is very easy to manipulate. The pistol does come with 2 magazines, and they are both 18 rounders. If you live in a restricted area to get only 10 rounders, of course, that is available as well. One of the things about the CZ magazines, though, is they are fairly pricey. So just want to give you a heads up on that. But hey, you get 2 18 rounds, and that'll really get you started. The SP01 family does come in a 40 Smith & Wesson and 9mm, 18 in 1 with the 9, and 12 in 1 with your 40 caliber. Of course, we're going to load up our magazines with a little 9mm and HPR, great stuff, into a great gun. Now the SP01 Tactical retails for about $660, and in fact I've seen it for that price in a couple of different places. So you're getting a really high value gun for a reasonable price, and I think you will find that it is well worth the money. Now check out czusa.com. Of course, I'll have the link below in the description. There are so many different models that this gun comes in, and I think you'll be able to find something that will really fit your needs. One of the biggest things about this CZ pistol is the internal slide rail. You're going to find that that really makes an incredible difference. And with some of the smaller pistols, that really is helpful, especially if you're carrying a CCW. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. The CZ75 SP01 Tactical. This is one incredible pistol, and I can definitely highly recommend. Wow, 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 wow. This is one rocking pistol. CZ rocks.